Hello and welcome to another episode of Sexual Confidence on Tap with Shannon, Ethridge, and friends. And I have my good friend, Julie Seibert, back with us. Here's the deal. I'm not going to say that you're my second choice, Julie, but you are my second choice only because I wanted to record this episode with my husband, but he is so sick. But I set all this up to say, Julie is one of the only professionals that I know that I can text her at 11:30 and say, can you step in to the co-host seat with me and record a special Christmas episode, and for her to be able to drop everything and do that 2 hours later with me. You are just such a true professional. And
I am. I have to say though, so my neighbors are not going to get as many baked goods because I had to cut into my baking time a little bit and I had to put on some makeup, but I'm your girl. I'm here. I'm your backup plan. I gotcha.
I love that about you. I knew that you would not take offense to playing second fiddle to Charlie circumstances, but we've actually been having a lot of fun just having a preliminary conversation about what all we would like to offer on the show in the way of unique gifts for a sexy holiday season. Some of these gifts are priceless, as in both will cost you nothing and will create priceless memories. There's a few things that we're going to throw in here that are minimal cost. It's not going to like break the bank or anything, but wow, do we have some great ideas. And it didn't even require any alcohol in our coffee mugs. No. You like my little lipstick mark on my coffee mugs there?
We could have gone that route, but we didn't.
But we are such creative sexperts that we didn't need a hot toddy to talk hot about what you can do to spice up your sexy holiday.
But if that is a good place to start, if you and your lover, your spouse, can have a hot toddy sometime over the holidays, it might not be such a bad idea.
Yeah. Many women report that a single glass of red wine, which Jesus had no problem with, obviously, since that was his first miracle, it really helps them to wind down.
Right.
And warm up. So yeah, more power to you if that's your thing. But let's dive in with our first idea. I like the idea of a 12 Days of Kissmas type of gift.
Love it.
Starts on Christmas Day. Did you know that historically the 12 Days of Christmas was not the 12 days prior? It was the 12 days after. It started on Christmas Day and went into the new year.
I did not know that. So you learn something new every day. I love it.
See? I'm just a wealth of information.
I always say I'm a wealth of useless information.
That's what I was about to say. It's not always useful information.
That's too funny.
So the idea is that your mate gets to choose a different body part, or you can choose a different body part for 12 consecutive days where you are going to kiss that body part for a minimum of 60 seconds. And I'm not even going to put a maximum on it because why should there be?
Why would we have limits here? Yes.
Exactly.
And I think this is good too, because I think we can fall into routines of like only kissing on the lips or only kissing on the neck, or, sometimes when making love, a husband will kiss his wife's breasts but we can get creative on using the whole landscape of the body.
Well, I'm shocked at how many times a woman will say to me, we often make love without even kissing. And I think that's kind of sad because there's some magic that happens with kissing.
Right. And there's actually a whole, our mouths, you and I have talked about this, like there's a whole like science, like that's been researched. It's why babies put things in their mouths, because there's so much sensory and nerves, a lot happens. So there is some truth there that there's magic in a kiss between two people who love each other. There's something happening there.
You think about it, it's basically one of your wet body parts entering into their wet body part. So it's kind of like a superficial simulation of the sexual act itself. Yeah. So there's a reason. I always said there's a reason that you don't French kiss your mother. People forget how sexually arousing a French kiss can be. If you have forgotten that, you need to recapture it. And a 12 Days of Kissmas coupon in their stocking would be a wonderful way of doing it.
I love it. it.
Okay, so you told me about a book that I think is so cute and clever. I wish I'd come up with it.
Yeah, this is actually another sex blogger gave me this book one year. It's called the Cookie Sutra, and it uses gingerbread people to show different sex positions.
And
So you could
what does the subtitle say down there?
it says where imaginations are fertile, love will never grow stale nor crumble. So that would be a great gift. You could probably find out on Amazon. My friend Jay Parker of Hot Holy Humorous gave me that, and I love it. A great gift idea.
Okay, so I'm not crossing that idea off my list. I'm putting a circle around it because I think that
Okay.
would be a great thing to tuck into Charlie's. He's a play therapist, so I think that that's kind of a funny thing to give a play therapist is a cute book of gingerbread people in different sexual positions.
Yeah.
Okay, so speaking of cookies, the idea that we came up with is, the whole play off of milk and cookies, the euphemism. Did you know that cookies is a euphemism for vagina?
Mm.
Now, for those of you who don't know what a euphemism is, I looked it up, and here is what it says. A mild or indirect word or expression substituted for one considered to be too harsh or blunt when referring to something either unpleasant or embarrassing. So I don't think vaginas are unpleasant, but it might be a little bit embarrassing. So let's talk about milk and cookies.
Well, and what I love about that too is it might inspire some couples. So all you listeners out there, it might inspire you to get creative with your language and your playfulness, especially if you have small children. I know sometimes you have to be careful what you're saying, but you can be playful in the way that you are sexually suggestive.
Well, and it harkens back to our episodes on talking like lovers do and playing like lovers do.
Yep.
So, Julie, I'm going to share screen because I want to share something with our listeners that they've probably heard me talk about on occasion if they've been following the show at all. But I want to show people exactly which one to get because there's a lot of knockoff brands to this particular item that I'm about to show. So for those people who are only listening on the audio, you might want to jump on YouTube and watch this particular episode. So here I go. I'm going to share my screen.
Okay.
And I'm going to hop over to, so this is the Womanizer. You never need to waste money on any other vibrator on the planet. They are not a sponsor. I should have made them a sponsor a long time ago. I could have collected so much in royalties. I have recommended these to so many clients through the years and friends. It's not cheap. It's about $100, but
that's not bad for a sex toy. Actually, that's
and this is like the cherry on top sex toy. Like
right.
You won't need any others unless you just want variety or whatever.
Right.
But let me explain what's special about this. This tip goes over the clitoris and it creates a gentle suction action. So gentle that when you put your finger on it, it won't like suck your finger in, but you'll be able to sense it. It's like, oh, it's a little pulsing action.
Yeah.
When women are asked by their husbands, you want to have sex? And her immediate response is, no, that actually was the last thought on my mind. I encourage her to, you know what, just reach for your womanizer and say, give me 60 seconds before I answer that question.
Right.
And within 60 seconds, you will be interested in sex because basically this bypasses the whole mental wrestling match and just creates that blood flow to the clitoris without you having to get into that zone in your head necessarily.
Yeah.
So I really like the fact that it fast forwards a woman's arousal process, especially women who struggle with getting aroused in the first place.
Well, and that can be, let me add this, it can be kind of sexy for the whole, like, I'm going to go get started.
Yeah.
Sort of like there can be a lot of foreplay in that, or just playfulness and like that. So she not only is getting aroused, but he is like anticipating coming in. There. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah,
well, here's what I have to warn her about though. They actually had a marketing campaign for the Womanizer that it could create an orgasm within 60 seconds. And I tested the theory and they're right. If you allow yourself to do that, it's totally possible. So what I encourage women to do is if you don't want to hijack his involvement in it, only use it for stimulation and then set it aside and kind of let him jump in there.
Right.
Unless you're the type of woman that can have multiple clitoral orgasms, and maybe this one gives you your first one to jumpstart you, and then have your husband, join in, or what. Like, I can easily see how men would feel replaced by this tool if you're not careful, is what I'm trying to say.
Right. And I always say too, I mean, I think sex toys can be great, but I still think, yeah, as a couple, you still have to be connecting intimately and in your intimacy. So I always see this as nice aids towards that. And especially if to help her become more comfortable with and more enthusiastic about pleasure. And it can be hot for him too to watch that, you know. So there's a lot of opportunity there with sex toys, sex aids, whatever you want to call them. So yeah, the womanizer, Shannon's inspired me. I told her I have a few different toys, but she says this is the gold standard, so I guess I better check it out.
Every other sex toy you've ever used in your entire life will feel like chopped liver, and this will be filet mignon.
Oh my gosh. Okay, she's selling it here. I mean, she's really, so now I'm inspired. I might have to go use my Amazon points and get that bad boy.
There you go. And I know lots of single women who rely on the womanizer and who also give it like 10 stars out of 5. It's like, it's so off the charts.
Gold star.
Exactly.
Gold star.
Exactly. Also under the category of milk and cookies, I just want to say that a couple years ago, I bought some of those socks that go way past your knees, like mid-high on your thighs. Mm-hmm. And they're really nice. I know that you're a lover of really great socks because you have sent me really great
I have. Yeah.
So the idea of really nice, warm, soft socks that go all the way up to your thighs. Number one, it looks sexy as hell.
Yeah.
Number two, it keeps your feet warm. And science has proven that a woman can't get aroused and have an orgasm if she has cold feet.
Ah.
So maybe that's the reason that they use that expression. Oh, they got cold feet.
Right.
Like they can't follow through with it because they get cold.
Right. Right.
So what a great stocking stuffer. It's just a really nice pair of thigh high, not pantyhose. That's not going to keep your feet warm. Like step up a notch and get like the nice thick cuddle duds makes really nice.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have to throw this in there. I love cuddle duds. I love how they
I do too.
It's like butter against.
Well, I say cuddle duds are like how you say like comfort food they're like clothing comfort food.
Yes,
that is what cuddle duds
macaroni
are.
And cheese for your body.
Right, it's comfort food for your body. That's
okay,
what it is.
So I stumbled upon this accidentally. For those people who have dogs, they'll know what this is like. If you leave something in the floor that has been on your body, the dog is going to chew it. So one day I discovered that my Cuddle Duds long pant type underwear has had the crotch chewed out of it by the dog. And at first I got so upset, but then I was like, wait a minute, crotchless Cuddle Duds.
Right. I'll piggyback on that a little because I spoke at a women's group once, and a woman afterwards came up to me and said that her husband was so turned on by if she wore pantyhose with the crotch cut out, like just over the top turned on by that they would have sex with, she'd have pantyhose on, but the crotch was cut out so they could have intercourse.
A pantyhose fetish is more common than people think.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So moving on. All right. So idea number 4. Okay. Mistletoe magic. Are you ready for this? Again, I'm
ready.
First, let me set it up. Okay. So when you think of mistletoe, you basically think of twigs and berries, right?
Right.
And twigs and berries is also a euphemism for the male penis.
Right.
So one of the problems that women often have with the male penis is that if he is really erect and she's not fully aroused, or even if she is fully aroused, sometimes there is just a discrepancy in how deep her vaginal canal is and how long his penis is. So I discovered something recently.
And I'd never heard of this either. So even seasoned sex writers and speakers have room to learn.
There's always something new.
always can learn.
Always something new. Okay, so let me go back to my screen. Okay, so again, they're not a sponsor, but this is the website, peppertogether.com. I can't promise you that there's not any pornography somewhere on the site for those people who would be freaked out by that, because I have not combed every single page. But at first glance, Julie and I were both like, it looks pretty innocuous.
It looks pretty
Pretty tasteful. Yeah. So this little gadget, at first it's like, what the heck is that? What would somebody do with that? It's called the O-Nut. OHNUT. It's a sleeve that goes onto the base of the shaft of his penis.
Right.
Such that when he is penetrating her, he doesn't go all the way in, because it says it creates a soft buffer during sex to help you and your partner find the perfect fit. So
it's like a bumper. It's like a bumper.
Exactly.
Like when you think about like a roller coaster and like it comes to the stop and it has those bumpers or whatever. Yeah.
Yep. So I would imagine that this probably takes 2 to 3 inches of length off of what is penetrating inside of her, but yet he's still feeling stimulated on that part of his penis. And I would think that nice soft rubber thing bumping up, or silicone thing bumping up against your vagina, could actually be a good sensation for her as well.
So, and she'll relax too, because that's the thing. I've heard women who, like, if their husbands are very large or lengthy, that like it's like the fear of pain and stuff like that. So if this allows her to relax, then her enjoyment's going to be better, and he's going to enjoy it better because he's not feeling like he's hurting her.
Exactly.
So yeah,
the whole walking on eggshells experience, afraid of experiencing pain,
right,
that's definitely a boner killer, so to speak. So this says, find the depth that feels best with O-Nut, a buffer that slides onto a penis or toy to customize the penetration. I just think that's brilliant.
I love it.
So peppertogether.com, 30.
And that one's, a look at that, reasonably priced.
I was going to say the price of a dinner at a salad bar, it's not pricey at all. And that's for 2 people, so
right.
minimum investment. All right. So moving on beyond our milk and cookies and mistletoe magic and 12 Days of Kissmas, can I just say that the idea of a big fat man coming down your chimney, I don't care what kind of goodies he has in that bag of his, if that happened, you would freak out and conduct a citizen's arrest.
Right.
Or at minimum, sit on him until the police arrives.
Right.
So the idea of handcuffing your husband or Mrs. Claus.
Yeah.
The idea of sitting on each other's lap. I just think that you could create some fun with this, because here's what I'm thinking, Julie. Because women have historically often been traumatized by being overpowered, I don't think that they have experimented with power, with regaining that sense of power enough.
Right.
And oftentimes when I challenge a female client to just give it a try, instead of being on bottom in the missionary position, get on. Instead of having him tie you up because that's his jolly, you tie him up and experiment with that feeling of power, or get some leather or lace, or something that makes you feel sexy and powerful and in control.
Right.
Women often discover a completely different persona inside of them coming to the surface when they're in control. So don't be afraid to use some silk ties to tie him to the bedpost, or something along those lines. But now you told me something interesting before the show.
Right. Well, you definitely have to, you have to know your spouse, because I had a husband confide in me once, that a listener of my and a reader of my stuff say that, like, he would find it anxiety filling if his hands were tied. So like, we can't make assumptions that all men like to be tied up, or all, you have to know your lover, you have to know your spouse. So that, and then I would say the other thing, I love the idea of the like silk ties and all that, but also that sometimes you can just take control by saying, like, that making it about your spouse. Like, you just lay back and let me, and I think that can be incredibly sexy either way. where the husband's doing that to the wife and letting her just enjoy, and then, or she's doing that to him and just letting him enjoy. And yeah, I agree. If a good place to start, if somebody's never ventured into doing anything but missionary position, a great place to start is woman on top, because I think it gives the husband great visuals. His hands are free to touch her breasts. She can kind of control the stimulation on her clitoris a little better, the rate and the rhythm, and it can be really powerful for her to have that kind of control.
And I'll say two things. Number one, it often puts her in a position that she can experience a G-spot orgasm easier by being on top than she can by being
yes. Yes.
Maybe,
testify.
Maybe if she's on top with an O-nut on the base of his penis, that she wouldn't worry about him, because again, if he's too long and she's on top, that can, you're like one of those Obi dolls that the eyeballs pop out of the head.
Right. Yeah.
So get creative, do whatever you need to do. And being on top doesn't necessarily have to mean like him being on his back. I like the position of kind of scissoring, where your hips are on top of his hips, both lying on your side, type of a thing.
Or he could be seated up a little. So it doesn't necessarily mean he's not necessarily prone. Like he could be kind of leaned up against the headboard with pillows, and you're in more of a seated position.
It goes back to sitting on Santa's lap, right?
Sitting on Santa's lap. Yeah. If you don't have, back to that, like if you don't have, if he's just sitting in the recliner some night and your kids are either asleep or you don't have kids. I mean, you do have to be, I guess, conscientious of your privacy, but yeah, a little fun to go sit on his lap and start making out. That can be totally hot.
And if your kids find you sitting in your husband's lap, kissing him, I saw mommy kissing Santa Claus.
Yeah.
Like, so what? Kids.
Well, that would be okay. I'm just saying if it progresses to like everything.
Then you get a room.
Then you get a room.
Okay. So next idea, elf on a shelf. You came up with this one. Take it away.
Well, just, like, is there anything, would it really be a turn on for your spouse to watch you do something to yourself? Like, do they want to watch you masturbate? Do they want to watch you undress?
Watch you do a sexy dance, watch you do naked yoga.
Yeah. Shannon's like a wealth of ideas here. Yeah, but there's something about the visual stimulation that just can lend itself so well. So
it doesn't even have to be naked yoga. A woman puts on spandex and does a down dog, she's going to get her husband's attention.
Right. Yeah. So, and I do think that the whole, like, even if you don't like fully feel like I couldn't fully masturbate in front of my spouse, but could you touch yourself sensually? Like, yeah, would that, just really be a turn on? So the whole elf on a shelf, which I hope we haven't ruined elf on the shelf for you now, but
well, let's just go ahead and ruin elf on a shelf because there was a hysterical skit on Saturday Night Live with Jason Momoa, who was Aquaman, and in Game of Thrones. It's a hysterically funny skit, but if you're easily offended by crass humor, we don't recommend it. I'll just put
yeah, it is Saturday Night Live, so
exactly. So what can you expect? But he plays an elf on a shelf that is not happy with the little boy that he has been assigned to, and I will just leave it at that. But also,
the little boy is like not so much a little boy anymore. He's like 13, 14 years old, and
the prepubescent boy that he's now watching from the shelf. I want a different boy.
I want a different boy.
It's so funny. Okay, also, as long as we're ruining elf on a shelf, the funniest meme that Charlie ever sent me that had me laughing so hard, it said, "Forget elf on a shelf." And it had a Dr. Spock doll sitting on the back of a rooster. And the idea was
Spock on a cock.
Exactly. Exactly. I don't know why I just it's so freaking funny, but I do.
That is funny. I like it. But really what we're playing into is that intimacy with your spouse should be fun. There should be certain level of being able to let our guard down a bit and laugh about things and be playful and be
not
affectionate and
not take life so seriously and not
right,
take sex so seriously.
right.
I do believe that a couple who can play together, stay together, it just you become a more enjoyable sex partner when you can laugh at yourself, when you can make your mate laugh.
Yeah, because let's face it, at some point during sex, somebody is going to get a cramp and somebody is going to fart.
I was going to say a queef is going to, yeah, like you have to laugh at when your pussy farts. I mean, that's wow. Like I would have never said those two words to get at all 20 or 30, or probably more like 30 or 40 years ago, but to use them together, my, how I have evolved.
Right. Well, sex doesn't, like, you can have really great sex and it doesn't look like movie sex. It doesn't look like you're there's no one like fixing my hair and there's nobody there doing my makeup
and there's no telling what my breath smells like, especially if it's morning sex. All right, so we got one more idea. Again, this is from you, so I'm gonna let you run with it. The light me up concept.
Yeah, I think that I love Christmas lights and a lot of people love Christmas lights. So if you wanted to plan like kind of a fun little rendezvous around this time of year, here's the thing. Your Christmas lights are already out. You probably have a few extra strings sitting in a box that you didn't use. Why not like kind of light your bedroom up a little bit and kind of create a sexy Christmas oasis? And not all husbands are visual, but a lot are, and a lot of women are visual too. So when you have a little light in the room, it really can kind of add to the arousal. That's my theory. Is like you engage all those senses, and how fun would that be to make love in a room full of Christmas lights?
Well, it reminds me of one Christmas I was escorted down the basement steps and turned the corner. Charlie had hung all different color of Christmas ornaments by ribbon from the ceiling using straight pins. And so there was literally like 200 ornaments dangling from the ceiling. I left it up all year long. I left it up until we sold the house. The realtor was like, yeah, you might want to take that down.
Yeah. It's not good staging, Shannon. That's not good staging.
But don't you think he got some great sex because of the great length that he went to? But now we got smart with the next move. You know those projection lights that stringing lights all over your house, it just projects lights onto that. That would be a great addition to your bedroom, like almost like a disco strobe light. If you just project green and red lights all over the walls, that's cute. That's sexy.
And in today's world,
lights dancing all over your body. Woohoo!
Right. In today's world, you could even add some music to that too. That would be fun. But in today's world of Amazon, you can find a lot of things, lights and different little projection things. So get creative on that. Definitely.
Yeah. So before we wrap up, Julie, I have to let everybody know about some special discount gifts that we are offering to people, but I have to tell you the story behind the name.
Okay.
The Terry Martin discounts. Okay. So when I was in my early 20s, I worked for this lady who was just an amazing boss. She was sharp. She was successful. And she really took a shine to me. She really believed in me. And the first Christmas that I worked for her, she handed me a stocking just stuffed to the gills. And I looked down inside and started unpacking it. I pulled out a crumpled $1 bill and then another one and another one. She had stuffed that stocking full of $100 bills. And I felt like the richest person in the world that day, just to have somebody believe in me that much. And back then at 27 years old, that was a lot of money to me back then.
Right.
So I just thought, you know what? I want to kind of pay that type of energy forward and say, I really believe in women that when they get ready to face the sexual and emotional and relational stuff in their past that has either caused them to act out or caused them to shut down, either end of the spectrum, coming to a workshop would be your absolute best next step to just unpack that baggage and make sense of it and create the kind of future that you want to have for yourself. So here's 4 different discounts that we are offering. Either $100 off of the next Women at the Well workshop, which is coming up February 26th through March 1st in Springfield, Missouri. You can learn more by going to shannonethridge.com and clicking on the workshops link. The next one is $100 off of the Couples at the Well workshop, which is coming up April 20th through the 23rd here in Springfield, Missouri. We have 5 spots maximum, and we're already over half full. So take advantage of that soon if you want to. Again, $100 discount. $100 off of a 180 coaching package. If your thing is not workshops and groups, if you would rather just work with me one-on-one, then a 180 workshop, you can get $100 off. You can go to shannonethridge.com and click on the coaching link to learn more about that. And then if you are at a place where you have done the soul work and you're ready to use your story for God's glory or just to help other people, the Blast Mentoring Program for building leaders, authors, speakers, and teachers, look at that online mentorship program and you can get $100 off of that. So we're calling these the Terry Martin discount code because that was this lady's name, Terry Martin. She reached out to me a few years ago because she saw my books in the bookstore and she said, I always knew that you were something really special, that you would do something amazing with your life. But she said, I never expected this. And I just told her, you were so pivotal in building my confidence. So I just have to shout out to Terry Martin on Sexual Confidence on Tap with Shannon Ethridge and Friends that Terry, you were something special to me too. And I'm honored to call this the Terry Martin discount. And then finally, I just want to remind everybody that we have our own special email address on tap at shannonethridge.com where you can give us feedback, where you can make suggestions for topics for us to chew on. Julie's going to be appearing with me more often next year. Angie's going to be appearing with me more often next year. There's going to be new voices and new topics. We've been mapping out the entire year. I'm really excited about what 2023 holds. So if you have some thoughts of topics that you would like for us to tackle, or if you have specific questions about any of these discounts or any of these programs that we offer, workshops, mentorship programs, all that jazz, I want you to go to schedulewithshannonethridge.as.me/. That will take you to my scheduling page where you can click on the free 15-minute consultation. I would be delighted to talk with you for 15 minutes about whatever questions you have, whatever challenges you're facing, make recommendations, etc. So, Julie, thank you for being able to just hop into this co-host seat with me and shoot from the hip and help me have fun doing it.
Yeah, I just am blessed to be here, and I can't emphasize enough, all those things you offer. We talked a little lighthearted and fun today, but really you and I both know that when people get at the heart of the stumbling blocks and the difficulties and the pain of the past, when they really kind of start to unpack that and find healing, it can be revolutionary for a marriage and revolutionary for one's own individual confidence. And so I highly recommend that your listeners take a look, and that 2023 would be an opportunity to step in the right direction towards some healing and some growing and some authentic sexual intimacy that's fun and edifying for your marriage. So yeah, definitely.
That's a great place to kind of exit the highway of, we just want to say that if you listened to this episode and you got emotionally triggered by something, if you found something scary or offensive or just painful to imagine, that's an indication that maybe there's some healing that can take place.
Right.
Don't miss the opportunity to unpack. I just feel like emotional triggers are gold mines because that tells you where you're hurting, and to heal those raw nerves will so help you relax into getting comfortable in your own sexual skin, getting comfortable in your own marriage bed. That is totally what we are all about. So we thank you for tuning in to another episode of Sexual Confidence on Tap with Shannon Ethridge and Friends. We love you for listening.
And we thank you for tapping on us.